getting your name on the ballot is just in and of itself like getting that seat at the table.
Yes. It brought so much recognition, even with like the radio interviews and all the different people who wanted to, who is she? Where did she come from? Oh yeah, I've been in your community for 28 years.
Yes.
But here I am, learning, growing, and becoming who I believe that God's created me to be. And being on city council was not something that I sat somewhere and dreamed up. It's just something that came to me. I felt like I was led at this point in time to be a voice to those that felt like they didn't have a voice in our community. So it's strategic positioning, but it's also my ability to make their postcard look amazing. So,
well, you do look amazing. So,
thank you. You know, I tend to have that effect. So, but once again, yeah, just my ability to show up in spaces and for Fond du Lac to stand up and be what they say that they are. You know, oftentimes we allow for local government to say what it is that they want to see, but never make them stand on it, own it. You know what I'm saying? They've been saying for the longest time, we want to diversify Fond du Lac. We want Fond du Lac to look like this. And, you know, Fond du Lac is a great place for all people to dwell. How is that possible when no sector that you go to is represented by people of color at all? Mm-hmm. So your city does not appear to be welcoming to those that don't look like you. Exactly. And we needed to change that, you know. So I got tired of talking behind closed doors, and I said, you know what, I'm going to go change it. I'll go change it. I felt like I had enough support, and absolutely I still do. It's still coming like leaps and bounds. So many people that I didn't even know stood with me.
Yes.
And so it's been an amazing, amazing journey thus far, and I'm just ready to claim my seat in April and see what I can do to shake up our community. I'm excited about it. But more than less, I feel like I'm serving in a capacity that I was called to serve in. There's so many different facets to Arletta Allen. And this is just another one of those opportunities where I get a chance to express who I really am. So,
well, 3 years in to serving is a very similar story. I hadn't set out to be a city council person. I didn't set out to become the deputy mayor. I didn't set out to become the mayor when I was doing my graduate studies as a grandmother. But here I am serving in that role. And I didn't run on, I'm the only female Latina who's ever served or any of that. It was as an aside. But I too felt like we had a lot of interests represented in our at-large for a lot of representation for the business community and the corporate entities and the developer community, but the marginalized populations didn't really have that voice.
Absolutely.
And so it is a calling, and next year I will have served 5 years total, but I'm so excited to see you take your seat.
Yeah.
In my sister community to the south, and I'm really, really excited for you.
Oh, thank you so much. That means
call me
so
anytime.
much. And I will. I'm going to take you up on it.
Got a mentor here.
Yeah, I told Arletta to call me anytime. She has it on video.
You got the mayor of Oshkosh on speed dial.
I love it. Thank you so much for the support. I know that this is only the beginning. However, we all make our mark, and we all have to start somewhere. Some may consider it small beginnings, but I believe it's a ripple effect that it will empower other people of color to stand up and feel like they have a place. Create that sense of belonging and community that we all crave. We crave to want to be a part of something. And just with the interviews, talking to people when I was out collecting my nomination signatures, having those conversations with people that said, I live here, but I don't feel like I'm a part of the community. And I mean, in my heart, it just broke over and over, because the thing is that living in Fond du Lac for 28 years, I have a love for this community that is insane. I love Fond du Lac. The only thing is I have to figure out how to connect the piece and make others love it just as much as me. What parts do you value so much, and how much of yourself are you willing to put in the upkeep of increasing how we grow as a community. I mean, you may have felt like you didn't have a voice before, but I want to present those type of opportunities for people to come from behind their walls and come out and just say what it is. I want to present more opportunities like that. And I'm a family associated woman, so I also want to create more family oriented like activities in our community, because we got a lot of bars and we got a lot of bowling alleys. But if you don't bowl and you don't, drink Grey Goose, what are you gonna do? And I don't do either or. A glass of wine is mostly what I'll do every now and again. But if you don't do those things, then what is left for you to do? And so I took the challenge, but to be the voice of change, and also a fresh voice. Because after a while, there's that conformity piece again. You get actors, and then all of a sudden you lose your zeal for why you begin to, why you started this whole thing to begin with. And now you're just complacent in those roles. We need to snatch up some of these people that are just sitting there doing nothing and replace them with vibrant, youthful people that are ready to create and make change. And that's what I'm going to represent. They ain't ready for me.
Oh, here we are.
They're not ready for Arletta. Because I'm very, look at me. I'm super bold. I'm so bold. But I have a way of getting my point across where you felt like you just got hugged. But I say what needs to be said. But I don't do it in a way that pierces people, that hurts people. May do a little bit of agitating. But in the end, you'll feel like I embraced you, because I'm not there to disrupt anything that's already been done. I'm coming to add to what's already been done.
I do think, though, that that in and of itself is a disruptive action. Mm-hmm. And, I ran on the voice of real change, and I meant it. And when I started instituting those changes, you do run up against barriers, and you do learn the art of compromise. And there's part of you that's like, wait a minute, I wanted to do like radical change, but the reality is the community has to be ready for that change. And I think that your community, and in terms of municipality, this region, our cities are ready for change. And this year is going to be huge.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be huge. And policy reform at the legislative end is where you do have that ability to get more voices and faces at the table, especially as it relates to not just people of color, but youth and those people who are going to inherit our legislative body decisions.
Right.
And how we use our land.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I'm just goosebumps shivers.
No. All important pieces that make the whole. And when you serve on council, it's made up of a body of 7 individuals who make decisions.
4 votes, though. That's all.
Yeah, that's all right. Oh, we got that. That's all you need is 4 people to kind of see eye to eye with what you're bringing to the table, and you can make some significant change. And I don't believe that when it comes to the ripple effect, it matters how big the circle is that you make as you go. What matters is that you threw the rock to begin with.
Yep.
And so I'm starting where I am, and I'm so optimistic about the change. And I have been reaching out all over my community, and a lot of people are saying, you're everywhere. I mean, she went from, who is Arletta Allen, to, don't you know Arletta Allen? Because I'm in every single sector now, but it's feeding my soul, because that's a part of my authenticity too. Being able to step onto any platform and be able to tell my truth. And City Council is going to give me that ability, but also bring in those that felt like they wanted to tell the truth about that position, but didn't have the voice to do so. Yep. So I'm really, really excited. Now, the Daily Dose of Motivation. Actually, you already kind of partaked in the Daily Dose of Motivation. So since I didn't know you were recording before, I'm going to just share my videos from your device over to my platform. But okay, so motivation. and why I choose to do a daily dose of motivation is because of the fact that this is a platform that is offered where I can just kind of sit in instead. And you guys, look, I even wrote like a couple notes. I don't usually do that. Seriously, on my platform, there are no notes. I seriously have my morning reflection time, and I get up and I say, well, it's been a while since I thought about that. I wonder if it's been a while since they thought about that. Hey, you guys, how you doing? Like, this is what I do every single day. And I've stepped back a little bit because I was going through some a traumatic change and transition in my own personal life. So I decided to do something different, and I decided to do it for me. Because oftentimes when you're in a position to be all things to all people, we always forget about ourselves. We're the number one person we forget about. So while we're taking care of everybody else, we forget to take care of us. And I was dwindling, and that's just the truth of the matter. Totally dwindling altogether. Mostly because I felt like the weight of the world was just on my shoulders. And I would still show up and do my keynote addresses. I would still be traveling and doing what I needed to do. And I have some amazing months coming up where grossing over $25,000 a month. And most of that was founded through my entrepreneurship of just being who I am. And so people want to hear the story. They want to hear the truth about who you are. But most recently, my one of my greatest and grandest endeavors was putting together the Peculiar Princess Project, which is my own nonprofit that I founded. Woo! Yes. I'm so excited about that. But it was another one of those entities for community. It was another thing where I felt like little girls of color should know what it feels to have a sense of belonging, to build up their self-confidence, to build up their esteem, to build up their character, to ask them, what type of friend are you? And what type of friend do you want to be? To ask them what makes them happy and what calms them, what keeps their spirits high. What do you aspire to become? Now, and what can we do right now to get you going in that right path? And I think it's also important that these little girls have people that look like them to give them that message. People that are not just talking about it, but actually being about it. So it took me a number of years to go through my own tribulations and pitfalls before I got to the point where I felt like I leveled out enough to become who I am today. And I don't have any regrets because those things made me who I am. When you're going through stuff, when you're in the midst of it, you're thinking, oh, I just don't know if I'm going to pull through this one this time.
Yes.
But after you clear the eye of the storm and you get a chance to glance back, you find that it was worth it. It was for your good, and it was making you.
What do they say? You grow through it as you go through it?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Because you can't put that together. You can't map out how to get through your storm, especially when it's things. Most times our storms are things that we have never, ever had to encounter before. So how do you strategically plan for something you've never had to go through? You don't. You do like everyone else does. And I think this is another thing that ties us together as human beings, is the fact that none of us are exempt from struggle. None of us are exempt from life happenings. There are things that happen to us all on that exact same plane, and we can all be like a shoulder for each other to pull through them. So if I'm, bold enough to be transparent and open about some of the things I've had to endure, then that gives someone else strength too, to stand up in their situation. So recently I went online, told my community, hey y'all, hey. Arletta's been going through a divorce, and it left me feeling shattered. Almost like I wanted to hide from the camera. And that's not like me at all. Y'all know I love the camera. But that's not like me. But it caused me to shy away because I felt like the situation that I was going through turned me into something different. Life was happening. It was happening in a real way for me. And there was no way for me to get outside of that. And I knew that there was somebody out there that could identify with the same. I knew there was somebody. But who would be brave enough to tell the truth about where they really were? Who would be brave enough to come on and say, I've been crying my eyes out for days. My children are suffering right here in this home with me. The transition didn't just happen to me. It happened to them too. Mm-hmm. How do I have hard conversations about the fact that they're angry at me for how long I stayed? What do I do? So I joined forces with other organizations that represent the same thing. And I promised God that I would not let anything hit the ground. Nothing that you gave me in life experience, nothing that I've had to endure, I will never be ashamed for my hardships. But I would tell it truthfully and be bold about it, be transparent and open about it, because somebody else needs to hear it. It's not just for me. And that goes for everybody that's sitting here. There are some things that you have endured in life that are not for you. They're not for you. You were strong enough to bear them, but they were not for you. They were for somebody else that's coming up the road that needs to know that if you can pull through it, they can too. And that's why I don't look back and regret the things I've had to go through, even in the midst of my storm. My divorce and all that jazz isn't final until June, but I'm still a married woman until June. But still, I just learning how to sever what's poisoning you. Learning how to be bold and step away from something because your life matters too. Many of us are living out our lives in hell with gasoline underwear on, simply because we're trying to impress the next person. Many of us are putting on fake personas and facades in front of other people, all simply because we're afraid of people seeing the real us. I threw that away a long time ago. And I want to encourage everyone that I get an opportunity to, each and every one of you that's sitting here. Stop worrying about what the next person got to say about your situation. They don't pay your bills. They don't put breath in your body. They don't pick your kids up from their sports events. I'm just saying. They don't do none of that. They ain't taking none of your load off. They're not making your oatmeal and your coffee for you in the morning. They're not with you during your meditation time. They're not fully a part of the decision-making process for you. So who else are you going to converse with other than you? It's between you and God what you decide to do with that. Not you, them, and God. You and God. So I just chose to just relinquish whatever control I thought I had, or my power that I had given over to someone else. And I decided it was time for me to take my power back, even though it hurt like hell. It hurt. It hurt like hell, because you get in relationships, with 12-year-long relationship. You get into relationships and you think that it's something that's going to last forever. And you find yourselves pulling apart and going your separate ways, and you don't know how you got there. The person that you used to absolutely love to pieces, and now you're not seeing eye to eye with them at all. Did this person ever really love me? God, jeez, the way he looks at me, the way I talk to him, what happened?
And I think sometimes, as women, and especially as women of color, we can find ourselves in relationships and nobody really wants to talk about how giving up that power and being in those vulnerable spots have shaped that relationship, right? There was a need by another individual to save you or help you, and you needed them to help you, and you needed to help them help you, this kind of thing. And then as you do start that self-actualization and reclaiming your power and becoming a leader you may not have seen in yourself, that is a threat to that.
Yes.
And being able to walk away to sustain yourself and leave behind, it's incredible. And I it's not unique, right? It's not unique to women of color or people of color, but it is a daily, I guess, struggle.
Absolutely.
Struggle is real.
I think struggle is the perfect word, because there's so many pullings back and forth. But sometimes there are days when I'm 150% sure, and then there's days where I second guess myself. Yep. There's days where I feel like I'm a powerhouse. Shoot, I'm Wonder Woman. I got this.
Yes.
And then there's days where I'm frail and I feel weak. And then I just want to go inside and cocoon up. Chill for a season,
Blanket over the head.
Yes. Forget my existence just for a moment. Just step away from everything. But I think my recent most powerful daily dose of motivation was letting people know that it's okay not to be okay. Mm-hmm. That sometimes you have to say that to yourself. It's okay if I'm not 100% right now. It'll be all right. Only time will tell. But have you given yourself permission to know that it's okay not to be okay? And I found that throughout my process, that's one of the things I had to do for me. Arletta, you don't have to be spot on through this. It's traumatic. And it doesn't matter how you try to gift wrap it. Like a poo sandwich is still a poo sandwich. It doesn't matter how much sugar you put on it, it's still poo.
Well, and I think on the other end of the spectrum, though, too, it's you got to give yourself permission to be okay when you are okay, also,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And not feel the guilt of leaving those behind.
Yes.
That you had to let go of in order to be okay.
Absolutely. Because that part will kill you too. And then that's where manipulations and all those other forces come into play. And those are things we don't touch on either. You know, that's what makes it the struggle, is the fact that going back and forth, or a person's ability to know which buttons to push, to know what to say, because they've been with you for so long. They just know your ins and outs, you know, and they use that to their detriment. They use it to my detriment. And they use it to push themselves back into that place of power. But once you snatch it back, and I decided to choose me. I decided that if I were sitting on a line and I had to make a choice about whether I would attempt to survive in my marriage or if I was going to choose me, which one would I choose? I had chosen the marriage for 12 years, literally. If it wasn't for my choices, there would have been no marriage a long time ago. It was me figuring like when something fell off the shelf, I can reach down and pick it up and patch it back together. I told my husband personally, I said, when it fell off the shelf this time, I did not go back and pick it up. Whatever it is, it's shattered and it's broken forever. And I asked God to keep it that way because I did not want to go through the process of having to mend something I was never created to mend. See, when you don't have that tie going on in your relationship and there's pieces missing, you can't put back together what you were not created. I'm not like a workman like that. Like I'm not a pottery builder. I'm not, those are God's things. I mean, and sometimes we find ourselves operating in areas that belong to Him and it's just not, it's not so. I had to tell myself that I know He has a better plan for me and that I'm deserving of it. I'm deserving of it.
And I think, you know, when we talk about family, you know, it is extremely important, at least for me. Family is extremely important, no matter, you know, what those at the time seemingly unendurable situations, life or death situations, and fractures happen. You know, I had a similar experience, but it wasn't with a romantic or husband. It was my mother dying, and she was someone who was a very toxic person in my well-being for many, many years. And the relationship had been severed. And many years later, when she was in a health situation and had no one to take care of her, and my sister said, walk away, I couldn't walk away. And I think God put that in my life to try and heal those old hurts. Mm-hmm. But losing her this past holiday season, after 10 years of coming back together and trying to not only care for her, but also be able to enter into this public service calling, even though she said, I'm not voting for her, it's gonna, my own mom not voting for me, right? My mom's white, my father's Colombian. So there was a whole walking two worlds kind of thing. But she would constantly try to pull me down. And, you know, for a while I thought it was just like a jealousy thing. But then I learned it wasn't. It was about her regrets for her life. Wow. And taking all that on and unpacking that. I'm still in that grieving process. But someone had asked me recently if I was at the point of feeling guilty about not feeling guilty. And I was like, I had to undo that mental gymnastics, and then I was like, I'm not there yet. And at that time I wasn't. And I think I'm kind of moving through that space of feeling a little guilty now about not feeling guilty that she's gone and all of that. So caregiving, our family members, you know, sometimes we find ourselves taking care of the very person who, you know, was very hurtful to us, right?
Yes,
and I believe that just really opened up a great big hole that I had just buried and taken away my authentic self to put myself in a role. And I compare losing a parent to losing a spouse, because when you are a caregiver, whether it's a child who's an adult who's making choices that are difficult, or if it's a grandchild or an elderly parent or a spouse or whomever, I would not have chose that path, but somebody else chose that path for me.
Absolutely.
And I'm not regretting it, because it allowed me to be real. So
And people
thank
can
you
relate
for
to
sharing.
real.
Thank you for sharing yours, though, because that helped me process things a little more. She didn't think that I was up to the task of serving the community, and that makes you second guess, because really what it was about was it was going to take time away from her, and so, like you say, reclaiming yourself
power,
in that
bringing it back
process. It does. It's not just for you; it's for others. So I'm just so grateful that you shared that.
Oh, thank you.
Help me process some stuff.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That fulfills my purpose. That fulfills my purpose wholeheartedly.
I'll fulfill your purpose even more.
Really?
I don't even know why this is happening, right? But I'll speak to your divorce. You're about to become a person that you have no concept of how powerful you're about to become. And as far as letting him go, you're not letting him go, you're freeing him to see his purpose. That's the way you have to reposition.
Whoa, that gave me
That was
chills.
profound.
That is.
All right, so it's not about you coming to trying to solve his problem. You're giving him the freedom to go be what he's supposed to be at this point in life. Okay? For you, I am absolutely going through that exact same thing right now, which is freaking me out right now, because no relationship with my dad, and now they're at that point that they need that support, and I'm the one that's got to provide it, so I have to close, like, since 19 years old. I'm 52 years old. So I have to come to grips with taking care of people I don't even know.
Yes.
Okay. So I appreciate you sharing. I appreciate you sharing, and I guess that's why I'm in this room today.
Right?
I guess so.
So
Fit Oshkosh co-working space. You
I'm
see
sorry.
what's happening? Do you not see what's happening?
We're sharing
here?
deeply in the
Relationship,
basement.
connection.
Dig down.
That was profound. No, but you just completely, like something clicked when you said that. My perspective changed. I never saw it from that point of view.
it has to
That was freeing for me. Thank you.
let that negativity go.
Yeah.
My ex and I are good friends now because we both realized that we could not become the people we're supposed to be together. You know, and you can't fight what's not supposed to be,
Right.
right?
Reframing is so powerful. It is so powerful, reframing things. I know that one of the other persons that I have viewed myself as a caretaker for, a very close family member who is an adult, a grown-ass man, but still has some childlike tendencies. I took that on like so many of us do. But me thinking I was helping him was actually handicapping him, or is handicapping him, like you said. And it's hard when it's a child or a sibling or a spouse. And then all of a sudden coming to that realization that, oh my gosh, I've been an obstacle when I thought I was being a help.
Enabling.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
But reframing is so powerful.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's one of those things like meditation. It takes practice.
Oh, definitely.
It takes
yeah,
practice,
you gotta
right?
Practice, well, yeah. Because
Practice.
me, I'm a super giving type person. I mean, anybody come to me with any problem, first thing go to my mind, how can I help you? And now I've decided that I can't help everybody. That was the first thing of freedom for me. I'm kind of, a little bit up there already. I done been through the 3Ds, the death, the dollar, divorce. Been through the 3Ds a couple of times, so I'm good now. I'm good. I'm working on health now. I'm working on my health just to stay here and be focused on whatever, comes my way that I can make the best out of it with where I'm at. But letting go, just letting people, they don't have to be what you want them to be. Even though what you want them to be as a parent is some of the best things for them.
Yeah.
They don't see it yet. So they got to figure it out. And you have to let them be. I have an only son. And to step back and let him figure it out, because he doesn't know what suffering is. Because the minute something happens to him, Mama's right
We
there.
had Mama to break that fall.
Mama right there. I don't fall, get him out of the train wreck. I'm right there to bust through there and rescue him. Now I have just sat back, and you know what? To be honest with you, he's doing much better on his own, making his own decision, knowing that Mom is not going to come out there and fork over all her money to make sure you and your kids are okay. And I'm fine with that. I'm completely fine with it because it wasn't my problem to begin with. If I had a step back years ago, the dollar would have been a lot better for me right now, if I'd allowed him to grow on his own, but trying to still guide him as he's going through life. The minute I let go, he showed me.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Is when you allow that to take place, like I'm finding myself learning from that generation and the generation after. I was a mom at 15. I was a child having a child. So I have a grandchild now that in a few years I could be a great grandmother. That just blows my mind, right? But reframing, letting go, and letting go of my ego in that process, right?
Yeah.
I am not the savior.
That's right.
That's the savior.
Relinquishing that control.
But being able to then also, okay, what can I learn from them? I think I know everything because I'm experienced, but the truth of the matter is the world is different now. The world is different now. So I'm very grateful to have that opportunity and discernment to sometimes step back. I wish I was better at it, but I'm getting there. And say, okay, I don't have to be the teacher all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I can learn too. I'm an old dog, but I can learn some new tricks.
Doesn't it get better? Life gets better when you can just let things be instead of trying to, as a mom, control everything.
I think we learned that though. That's something we learn. We learn how to relinquish what we feel like we have control over and just letting some things just be. Let them unfold as they may. Like we don't have to craft it. But also understanding when you're baking a cake, you can't be leaving out ingredients.
Right.
You can't be just, throwing in there what you want to throw in there and thinking it's going to have that perfect outcome. Either you learn to follow how this thing goes or don't expect it to rise. Don't expect it to taste good. Don't expect it to smell good. Like those types of things. So we just learn as we go. But I'm going to close out my daily dose of motivation.
Collective dose, right?
Yes. But I'd also like to take an opportunity to thank you all for being here in this space on today. I full and wholeheartedly support what Fit Oshkosh is doing in this co-working space. I take opportunities and I come down here from time to time myself and make this my little office too. And I think that everybody should do it when there are spaces like this that are created for people of color and anyone else that is an ally. Take full advantage of this space. And know that you just never can tell who you might run into in the co-working space too. I mean, I've received this amazing invitation to be here on today as they celebrate their grand reopening of the co-working space, but also to be a part of connection, to know that we all are better together, to know that when we lock arms with each other, there's like, the possibilities are just outnumbered. So I just want to thank everyone for being here. Thank you for just inviting me and just always embracing me with open arms. Also, I want to ask that everyone would continue to follow me on all social sites. Please do visit all of my website at authenticallyarletta.com. Stop by over at LinkedIn and look me up at Arletta Allen, and do leave a recommendation if you like what you hear. You can also go here on the Facebook page entitled Authentically Arletta, and also as you can tell right now, I'm actually shooting from Fit Oshkosh, and is it the regional?
It's the Regional People of Color Business Association page.
Thank you so much.
The longest name.
Okay, so also I'd like you to take an opportunity to check them out too and see what they're about. Make sure you go out and like their page and see what's happening in this community and the surrounding area of Oshkosh as well. But as you can see, there's some collaborations that will be taking place, and I look forward to being a part of all of it. So continue to join me here each and every week for your daily dose of motivation. And as I said before, today we did something a little bit different. Wanted to start you out with a little bit of a morning song, let you know what it feels like to liberate yourself in the morning before your day begins. Many of us do it several different types of ways, but there is no wrong way to liberate you in the morning time. So make sure you take some time, have some quiet time, have your favorite cup of coffee, break out your best jam, and just set yourself free. Dance like ain't nobody watching. Just be free and sing too. I find that there's no one there to judge whether I'm a soprano, alto, or a tenor. So I'm just free to do me in that moment, and I want to pass that along to you. So thank you all so much for joining me, and don't worry, we will be talking soon.
And
God
thanks
bless
for
you.
coming out, Arletta.
Thank you for having me.